Pride is a heart issue, not an exterior issue. Meek is a heart issue, not an exterior issue. And so you can't see someone's meekness by their physical posture. I was teaching in the southern hemisphere of the planet and different conferences, and happened to run into some people who were officials in rugby, and they asked me if I wanted to come watch an All Blacks game. And didn't know who they were. I'm so westernized over here. Famous rugby team. And so they actually had a seating with the players. And so we were seating right behind them. And we were seated actually with, or behind, but in the same section as the injured players. And so I was just watching this game unfold, and two coaches, and whatever they were, defensive coaches or offensive coaches. I don't know how they divided up for rugby, but there were coaches there training and all the stuff that was going on. And I noticed, and I was just watching, and God began to speak to me about this. And he said, take a look and learn from this when it comes to the church. You see, the church, if you look at a lot of the messaging of churches on television, it's always messages to the wounded, the hurting, the brokenhearted, the marginalized, those dealing with shame, struggling with issues. That's important. And God just said, you'll notice all the top coaches aren't working with the injured section. Injured section has doctors. When you pay people that much, you got doctors, physiotherapists, working with them. The goal being to get them back on the playing field. But the top coaches were working with the team on the field. And he said the church has become just a hospital where you just keep people in the wounded bench, massage the leg, get them a stool, someone get them a coffee and a milkshake, and just leave them in the wounded list. But the whole goal of looking after the wounded is to get them onto the field. And the gifted and skills and the things that's within them, using them to advance the cause for that rugby club, or in our case, for the kingdom of God. And so I'm going to talk a little bit today, and some of my messages, I call them shooting holy cows. Boom. Because a holy cow is a belief that has pervaded the church, and it's like we're on spiritual birth control pills. We don't give birth to anything. We don't see anything changing in our world. Where's the church? Oh, I don't know. We gather in a building and keep to ourselves. Oh, is that what Jesus said? Not. One of the teachings that has really hurt the church is something Jesus said that was horribly misunderstood. He said, and the meek shall inherit the earth. Now, the way we use the word meek in our modern vernacular, it would mean powerless, no real influence, no one to worry about. He's meek. And is that what Jesus meant? Because I can't find powerless people in the Bible. Not Moses, not David, not Solomon, not Joshua, not Paul, not Peter. These guys upset countries and turned around cities and healed the sick. And nobody killed Jesus. He said, no one takes my life. I'll lay it down when I'm ready. And that's what he did. So where does this meek come from? So we need to look at this word, and we need to understand and say, what does it mean in a biblical place? How are the meek going to inherit the earth if we just huddle in little defensive prayer meetings, and that's all we have to do? Just pray. God's going to look after the rest. And if it happens, it's God's will. I had a guy talk to me. He was a religious leader, and he looked at me one day and he says, isn't it horrible, the violence on our planet? I said, I hate violence. I abhor violence. I don't like it in our families, our homes, our streets. And I said, but I have no problem using it. And his eyes got really big. To protect my family, my home. He did not agree with me on that. He's, oh, no. And so there is a doctrine, for every mile of truth is 2 miles of ditch. The one ditch on this word meek is being so passive that we have religious groups that you could go punch them and just steal stuff from them, and they would just hang their head and go, the Lord wills, whatever, Lord wills. You can go in there and take their kid, kidnap them, and they'll just pray for you as you walk out the door. I kid you not. Then we got the other extreme. They're out there screaming obscenities and carrying placards and cursing people for specific sins. And you kind of go, oh, like, could somebody represent Christ properly? You see, Jesus sent his disciples out one time and he said, don't take an extra coat, don't take money, don't take, just go and you're going to be looked after. Now let me read you another verse that so few people seem to be aware of in the Bible. Let's go down to Luke chapter 22, verses 35. So Jesus says to them, this is just before he goes to the cross, when I sent you out with no money bag or knapsack or sandals, did you lack anything? They said, nothing. God supernaturally looked after them, blessed them. All right. Jesus says to them, but now, I love the word but now let the one who has a money bag take it, and likewise a knapsack, and let the one who has no sword sell his cloak and buy a sword. And they said to him, Jesus, we've got 2. Good, he said. What? That's what Jesus said? That's what Jesus said. Now, when you take a look at the territory that these disciples had to walk through to bring the gospel to the then known world, as they walked through bandit covered areas and mountains and deserts and wild animals, Paul talked about how many times he was with wild animals and been attacked and shipwrecked and all this stuff. And they didn't bring along sword. Now, this word sword is the word they would use for the short Roman sword that is the weapon they became famous for as they hid behind a phalanx of shields and then they would stab. It wasn't to butter their toast on the campfire. What was it? It was a defensive, protective weapon. Animals, bandits, there's just no other way to look at this. Well, I disagree. Good for you. But let's take a look at what the Word says. All right? So Jesus says, good, that's enough. Two will do. It doesn't make sense to me that I would stand by and it defies every man in the place to go, oh, you'd like to take my wife. Lord, I don't like this, but it must be your will. Really? Most of the guys in this church, you dead. Like, you just done. So is Jesus really wanting us to be this passive? Let's say that was true. Well, every policeman in here has missed God. Because you carry a gun. You use handcuffs, and it's work to wrestle a guy to the ground and handcuff him. It's work sometimes to take out people who are bent on killing the public, and your job is to protect them, and that's our defense against people who would love to kill, steal, destroy children, money, property. And the police, they're out there to protect us. Oh, but if you're a Christian now, you would be in sin if you're a policeman. But I have a ton of great men and women who literally carry guns, and they work in this area. It would be a sin to be in the army if you're going to believe this teaching. So we can't protect Canada. Can't protect it from Hitler. Can't protect it from anybody. Well, if we're not going to protect our country, are there evil people out there running countries who, if they know that if they come in and take the country, we're all going to go, guess it's God's will? It's just a ridiculous doctrine. And it's made Christians lazy. Because all you have to do is hide in your church and pray, and let's just see what happens. You can't find that in the Word. And some of you have been raised in certain religious sects where this passivity, this passiveness has been taught and ingrained in you, and it is wrong. I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and pick up a Vine's concordance. You can get different Lenski's commentaries, olive tree. Just take a look at the word pros, which is the word the Greek word for the word meek. Now, as you take a look at this word, the way it was used back then, meek was not an exterior appearance. It was not, bless you. That guy must be a Christian. Look at him. He walks like one. No. And, in the Christian world, if you walk straight, my grandpa taught me, you stomach in, chest out, walk like a man. And if I didn't, he'd slap my stomach, bash my back, and make my posture come out. And then you walk amongst church people and they'll go, we're praying for you so you don't get proud. You're going to go like, pride is a heart issue, not an exterior issue. Meek is a heart issue, not an exterior issue. And so you can't see someone's meekness by their physical posture. Can you imagine if you went to a Christian brain surgeon who was meek? And he just said, we're going to try our best, the Lord willing. Well, pray. It's all in God's hands. And, bless you. We'll be praying. And then you got this guy over there cussing, swearing, and he says, I've done 1,000 of these things. Yours is going to be easy. Just confidence plus. I'll take this guy any day. Like, what is with us that we develop this attitude that meek means weak? Okay, don't write me letters about this. Rabbits aren't exactly a powerful animal. They don't hurt anybody. I got a lot of rabbits in my yard. They come and go, and they're cute. But they've never attacked me. They've never stared me down from the bush. They've never stalked me down my driveway. They're rabbits. They're no power, no ability, nothing, and they just hop away. And so you can't call a rabbit meek. I'll explain to you why. The word meek means power under control.